my audience. My name is Dr. Arewa from Lagos State University. My TEN number is 080 6096 2048. My email is ajibolaarewa@yahoo.com. This afternoon I'm presenting a lecture on heterogeneous panel. Heterogeneous is an assumption in panel data that states that the slope parameters are not identical across entity, which opposes the traditional assumptions that the slope parameters are homogeneous. If the slope parameters are not identical across entity, it means that the traditional estimation techniques may not be applicable in these instances. Before we state a typical heterogeneous panel model, let's start from a typical panel model, which can be defined as follows. A panel model can be defined as YIT equal to alpha prime XIT plus UIT. Here the left hand side variable is the dependent variable and the right hand side variable is the explanatory variable, meaning that YIT is n by 1 vector of dependent variable. XIT is k by 1 vector of explanatory variable. UIT is n by 1 vector of disturbance 10, while alpha prime is a vector of coefficients associated with the explanatory variable. Here, the disturbance terms is a component or is a sum of two components. The disturbance term is a sum of two components, which can be expressed as UIT is equal to VI plus WIT. The VI is called specific error, while WIT is called common error. The specific error is also referred to heterogeneity or individual differences or variance. Now, it is very, very peculiar in a panel model to think of how to estimate this model, particularly when there is presence of heterogeneity. There are three assumptions. The first assumption says that the specific error or the heterogeneity is constant across the individual entity, and so it can be subsumed in the constant term or by the constant term. And if it can be subsumed by the constant term, then we can adopt the pool OLS to estimate the model. Then the second assumption says that the heterogeneity or the specific error is not constant across entity, and so therefore it needs to be eliminated before the model can be estimated. Particularly if it correlates with the included variable, then we can use the fixed effect estimation techniques to estimate the model. However, it can correlate with the disturbance term, WIT. And if it does, then we can use the random effect estimation techniques to estimate the model. The fixed effects has shortcomings. Number one, it gives rise to new regressors. By demeaning the equations, it might lead to new regressors. And such regressors could correlate with the disturbance term, and that would lead to a heterogeneity problem. And solving such problems has led to dynamic panel data modeling, which was first tracted by Anderson and Heterogenous using instrumental variable techniques. However, the basics for our discussion today is the assumption that the parameter alpha prime, which I said is a vector of coefficient relating to the included variable or explanatory variable, may not be constant across entity. It may vary across entity. So when the parameter alpha varies across entity, then this model can be restated as YIT is equal to alpha prime I XIT plus UIT, or YIT is equal to alpha prime I XIT plus VI plus UIT. In this instance, when the parameter carries a subscript R, that's an indication that the parameter is not identical across entity, meaning that it varies across entity. And this is very, very peculiar with log panel, where your n is less than t, or your t is greater than n, where your time dimension, which is t, is larger than your unit dimension, which is n. So basically, in heterogeneous panel, the parameters are not identical across entity. That is the assumption underlying heterogeneous panel. Now, there are different techniques that could be used in estimating heterogeneous panel. One, we have the dynamic phase effects estimation techniques. Dynamic phased effects. In the extreme end. And in the other extreme end, we have the mid group. In between the two extreme ends, we have the intermediary estimation techniques, which we call pooled mid group. Pooled mean group. So we have the DFE, dynamic phase effects. We have the mid group, MG. Then we have pole mid group, PMG. So my discussion this afternoon will be centered on these three estimation methods. Before we start, let me define a typical ARDL panel specification. A typical ARDL panel specification. A typical ARDL panel specification, ARDL of order P, Q1 to QK can be defined as follows. YIT is equal to sigma J, taking value from 1 to P. Then we have lambda Ij YIT minus J plus sigma J, taking value from 0 to Q. We have alpha Ij, then X I T minus J plus EIT. This is panel autoregressive distributed lag system. Yes, in this system we have the lag dependent variable among the regressors. Then we also have the current and the lag dependent, the current and the lag explanatory or independent variables. Now, to estimate this model using pole mid group or mid group or dynamic phase effect estimation techniques, there must be an underlying assumption that the variables are all I1. So if the variables are I1 variables, if they are I1 variables, if they are I1 variables, it means that the disturbance term, which is the disturbance term which is defined as EIT is equal to UI plus EIT is equal to UI plus VIT will be I0 variable. So meaning that your VIT is I0, which is the linear combination, of all the variables of interest. That is to say, VIT is equal to YIT minus J minus alpha Ij XIT, everything equal to I0. So the linear combination of these variables will become I naught. And if they are co-integrated, then there will be ECM, error correction mechanism. Therefore, we can now reparameterize this very equation, this very ARDL equation as follows. YIT is equal to B in brackets X in brackets YIT minus J minus lambda IJ XIT, close the bracket, plus summation J taking value from 1 to P theta IJ. This is P minus 1, theta ij, y, I, t minus j, plus summation j, taking value from 0 to q minus 1. Then we can now use a, ij, as the coefficient of the explanatory variable x it minus j plus vi plus uit. Vi plus uit. Now, here we have incorporated the log run parameter and also the ECM parameter. Meaning that the typical ARDL equation has been scaled down to a typical error correction mechanism under ARDL as we have here. Okay? Now, this equation has been scaled down to have this. And here we can now have our short run component and the log run components. Now, the first term here with this parameter B is the log run. From here to here is the log run components. Then why the short run? Please, there will be change here. There will be change here. Why the short run is this, from here to here. Now we have the specific error and the common error. Our B coefficient. The B coefficient is equal to minus bracket open 1 minus sigma j taking value from 1 to p, taking value from 1 to P, then we have lambda ij, close the bracket. By a priori, P must be negative and significant, so that log equilibrium could hold. So that the log equilibrium could hold. Then the log coefficient, remember I said that this is the ECM coefficient. Then the log coefficient, which is lambda ij, is equal to sigma j, taking value from 1 to q. We have a ij divided by sigma k taking value to p, then lambda ij. Sorry, it's 1 bracket 1 minus sigma k to p lambda ij. So that is the log coefficient. That is the log coefficient. Then the short run coefficient.
AIG. That's sigma aij.
Yes.
With j from 1 to p to q.
Yes. Sigma k to p. Oh, sorry. There's no p. Just sigma k. Sigma k lambda ij. Okay, now the short run coefficient, which is in this equation, which is aig, the short run coefficient, which is aig, is equal to sigma j, taking value from 1 to q I j, and that is the short run coefficient.
These long run coefficients.
This is the long run coefficient.
That's numerator there. Sigma k lambda. Since lambda is constant and k is constant, we don't want to give us a constant value.
Okay, can you raise your questions? Are you saying this?
Yeah, the denominator.
No, it's 1 minus k.
Sigma k.
Sigma k.
Sigma k
Lambda ij. Yes.
Would that not give us a constant?
No, it will give us a constant.
So
This coefficient is from here.
Yeah.
No, sorry, this coefficient is from the first equation, which I stated as ARDL. Okay? That's where this coefficient will be computed from, not here. Now, we have defined the log run coefficient and the short run coefficient. Typically, let's have a study, for instance, the determinant of market development in sub-Saharan African countries. How do we model the determinant of market development in sub-Saharan African countries? Meaning that we have market index as a function of some other variables. Market index, which is MID, defined as market index, is equal to, what are your variables? Tell me just the macroeconomic variables, 2 or 3 of them, just 2 of them.
Yeah. GDP per capita.
GDP per capita.
External reserve.
External reserve, okay.
Yeah.
So let's say the determinant of market development are GDP per capita and external reserves. For example, let's just have these 2 determinants: external reserves and GDP per capita. So we can define the model as MID subscript IT as A0 or A1 GDP per capita IT plus A2 GDP per capita IT minus 1 plus A3 reserve at current level plus A4 reserves at past period 1, then plus UI plus WIT. This is a typical panel autoregressive distributed lag. And for us to estimate the short run and the long run, we need to reparameterize this specification as follows. MIDIT is equal to the ECM coefficient, which could be lambda bracket open. We have A0 1. Now all these parameters must definitely have subscripts. They must have subscripts. So we put I here, I here, I here, I here. That subscript indicates that they are heterogeneous parameters. They are non-linear. All heterogeneous panels are non-linear in parameter, meaning that the parameters are not constant across entity. So once you see subscripts attached to a parameter, it's an indication that the parameter varies across entity. So therefore we have A0I, then plus A1I, then we have our MID IT minus 1. Place this minus, then minus again. We have A2. Please permit me to change these parameters. Instead of using this parameter, let me now use B. B will be here, and also we have B here. B not I, B1I, then B2I. Then you take the first variable here, which is GDP per capita at level minus B3, then reserve at level, close it, then plus change in reserves, IT, then there must be a parameter now that I call it before I, yes, plus B5I, change in reserve, IT minus 1, plus B6, change in GDP per capita, IT, minus, there's I here, B7I, change in GDP per capita, IT, minus 1. Then plus VI must have gone because we've taken the change. Then plus WIT. Then this also will be a change, and this also will be, let me put EIT, in which case EIT is a change of WIT. I think it is important here to ask my audience some vital questions. Please, over to your audience. Let me listen to your questions.
Why, I would like to know why we are introducing lag variable of the explanatory variable. Why did not just use just a lag variable of the dependent variable in this model?
Okay. Yes, we are doing that with the reason why we introduce the lag of the, is it the explanatory or explained?
Explanatory variable.
Oh, explanatory variable.
Yes.
Of course, the nature of the model is that onto regressive distributed lag, meaning that both the dependent variables and the explanatory variables must have lag values in the model, and that's why it's called onto regressive distributed lag. So that is the reason why we introduce the lag values of the explanatory variables.
Then I've seen some cases where it's like the weights attached to the lags of the explanatory and the dependent variable introduced in the body are not the same. That's to say, if you start adding maybe t minus, we have it minus 1, it minus 2, the weights attached to
the lag lengths,
the lag lengths years are not will be lighter than what you see. Like
I think you are saying the lag lengths are not the same.
Yes.
The lag length attached to variable x can be different from the lag length attached to variable y. Is that what you are?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the you are introducing a parameter, like for instance GDP.
Yes.
And you assume that previous year could have an impact as well. Okay. So you can also introduce, okay, you're looking at this year's GDP, you're looking at last year's GDP. Then it could be that you're also looking at, maybe for instance, using ARD 2 or you could also be looking at third year, that's 2 years ago.
Yes.
But in that case, in some cases, I've seen cases where, like, government places, they will try to attach more weights.
Or are you saying more lag?
More recent, more weights. It's like this one is like the weights attached to all the lags seems to be evenly distributed. So it's possible. But what I'm asking, like in permanent income and places.
Okay, I think can I come this way?
Okay.
That you have optimal lag that
Yeah.
must be selected. You don't just attach lag to variables. So optimal lag, maximal lag must be selected using appropriate lag selection criteria. So it is the lag selection criterion that gives the optimal lag of a variable. So in estimating autoregressive distributed lag, one of the pre-tests is to test for the optimal lags for the variables. So some variable could be 2, some could be 1, while some could get as much as 5 lag. So the lag length is based and is selected by the information criterion system, such as Ake information criterion, Hanaquin, and then CHOAS. So these are the criterion techniques that could be used to select your optimal lag system. Is the question answered?
It's okay, thanks.
Yes, you can pause.